Hey friends, it's your girl Adriana, aka AJ, here with another video. So in one of my last videos, my apartment tour, I believe, I mentioned how on Sundays we do a little bit of cleaning / meal prep. So as you can guess, today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of meal prep. Today is Sunday, and for the most part the apartment's clean. At least I think it's kind of clean. But I wanted to walk through a little bit of how I kind of meal prep and prepare for the week. As most of you know, I work from home, so having food already prepared makes my life a lot easier, especially during the busy weeks. Next week isn't as busy. I actually have a few days off, but having food already available just makes me less likely to, one, spend money, and two, eat a lot healthier. So I already wrote down a little bit of the things that I plan on cooking today. I do eat a primarily pescatarian, dairy-free diet, so most of what you will see is going to be within kind of that category. I do plan on making some fish, some tofu, a little mixture, so whether or not you're a pescatarian or you are completely vegan or vegetarian, I do have some options there. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna make. I'm winging it just a little bit, but I think it's all gonna be fine. I'll make sure one of the subscribers also wrote in my video of what I eat in a week working from home, which if you haven't watched that, please check out that video. But did mention it'd be nice if I could include some specific like measurements and directions for how I cook things. So I will try my best to include all of that. It is something that I need to work on, so I'm going to try my best to kind of give you more of a step-by-step. And I'll link most of the like ingredients and kind of like the recipes, because I don't really kind of just cook as I go, down below in the description box. But stay tuned for this video. If you like this type of thing, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe to your girl's channel. I really appreciate, you know, all the comments, all the people liking the videos, and I finally hit 100 subscribers. Sounds like such a small milestone, but it's huge for me because I feel like it's taken me a while to get there, and I'm so excited to kind of like start this journey. But again, stay tuned, don't want to make this too long, and I'll see you all at the end.
I'm going to start with the tofu first. So this is some extra firm tofu that I had frozen a few nights prior and then defrosted it, which I feel like gives it a better texture. And I'm going ahead and basically just putting it into these little chunks. Not exactly sure what you call it, but you can see here in the video. Then I'm adding some soy sauce, and then I'm going to add some teriyaki sauce. What I would recommend is, because these sauces already have a lot of salt in them, you may not need to add extra salt, especially if you're watching your sodium intake. So if you use both of these sauces, I probably wouldn't add salt. I did think it was a little salty. So here is where I'm adding the salt. And then I'm adding some pepper as well. I am a pepper lover, so I add quite a bit of pepper, but obviously it is your choice. And then I'm adding a little bit of smoked paprika. And then I'm adding this, I believe it's green goddess seasoning that is from Trader Joe's. It's a mixture of different seasonings, but I really like the flavor in it. I'm adding some garlic powder, also adding some onion powder, and then I'm adding in here cornstarch, which gives it a nice crispiness. I actually learned this from Sweet Green Vegan, I think. I always get her name wrong. I apologize. But then just giving it a really good toss. I'd probably be a little bit more gentle than I was. Next, I'm going in with the salmon, which you have already seen. It has been cleaned and sitting in water and lime or lemon. I'm adding in some olive oil, that green goddess seasoning again that I mentioned prior. And then I'm adding this citrusy garlic seasoning. This is one of my favorite seasonings from Trader Joe's as well. And then as you can see, the seasonings are very similar. Some garlic powder, and then some onion powder as well. And then there is going to be some salt and pepper. Salmon, you can kind of do whatever you want. I keep it pretty basic just because I like to mix and match things, but you can season it however you would like. I'd also just want to mention that I don't really have measurements for seasoning because I just kind of season to the eye or season how I see fit on here. But obviously, if you're trying to be more mindful of certain things when it comes to like oils and salt, be more cautious. I don't use a lot of seasonings with salt just to be able to control my salt intake. So just to be mindful of that if you have certain health things that you want to take into consideration as well. And here, just make sure you get the salmon nice and mixed. You're going to get your hands a little bit dirty here. Want the seasoning to be spread out all the way. And then we just want to preheat the oven to about 400 degrees because we're going to be cooking a few things in the oven. So here I am going to be making a sheet pan of vegetables / roasted vegetables. I think this is a great way to use up whatever veggies that you have in your fridge, so feel free to interchange whatever you have available. I know I just looked to see what I needed to use first. So the first thing I did was some, I think it was baby snap peas. I like taking off the ends because I don't like the way the ends taste, but do whatever you feel. Just make sure that you clean them really well. And here I'm taking some baby carrots. Again, this is what I had in my fridge, and just cut a few of those up in half. And then I also have some asparagus. You want to make sure also to clean your vegetables, especially the asparagus, but specifically for the asparagus, make sure you take off a good chunk of the ends, because when you cook the ends, they end up kind of turning into this weird tasting, I don't know how to describe it specifically, but it's just not all that appetizing. So make sure you take off a good chunk of the ends. And then I had a good amount of zucchini in the fridge that I wanted to use. I saw it at the grocery store and just really wanted some zucchini. So I took about a half of one and then just put this in to kind of like little, I don't know, halves of those. I'm really bad at these names, but as you can see, that's what I did. Added those to the bowl and then just took some onion, and I wanted to keep these in some good chunk pieces because we're just going to throw it in there and it gets a really nice flavor to it. Yeah. The last thing we're going to add is a few cloves of garlic. I love garlic, so I think I added about 3 or 4 pieces in here. As you can see, I was being pretty aggressive. The camera's moving. But yeah, just throw those in there with all the rest of the vegetables, and then we are going to season. As you can see, a huge trend here is olive oil, so make sure you have a good amount of olive oil on hand if you're watching this video. But add some olive oil, the basics, salt, and pepper. And I don't know how to pronounce this one. Ajika. It's kind of a little spicy. This is also a Trader Joe's seasoning. I don't know if they have it anymore, but it's good. And then some onion powder. Thank God I just restocked on that. This citrusy garlic. My fave. I always add this to sheet pans. And lastly, going to add the herbes de Provence. My French is terrible. This is my favorite though. I actually think I need to buy some more. It has lavender in it and it's really, really good. It smells really good too. And give it a good old toss. Add it to a pan with some parchment paper, or if you have the reusable ones, you're on the right track. Just make sure they're spread out well enough. And then pop it in and forget about it. Just kidding, don't want to burn it. Next thing we're gonna get started on making is my version of what we're gonna call a bootleg tabouli. I absolutely love tabouli, love Mediterranean food. It is my favorite. but I didn't have everything. I think it's the bulgur. It's really hard to find, but we're starting with some cucumber, some English cucumber. We are going to take off a little bit of the sides, and then we are going to cut it into fourths. I think it's fourths, half an inch. We'll say that. Yep, I think that's about right. And put it into a bowl. And then we're going to take some tomatoes. You can use kind of whatever tomatoes you want. I have some cherry tomatoes, and we're just going to cut it into small pieces as well, because it's kind of like a salad in a way, but more of like bite-sized salad, if that makes any sense. If you never had tabbouleh before, you need to go find some because your life will be changed. And the next thing I'm going to add is some green onion. I love onions, green onions, pickled onions, white onions, red onions. I like onions, so you don't have to add as much as I'm adding here because I'm using, as you can see, both green onions and red onions. But I did add some green onions here, and then I'm going to cut up a little bit of the red onion additionally. Also, please don't come for my cutting skills. They aren't that great. Make sure you cut the onion really small. Don't want large chunks of onion. And we're going to add some fresh herbs. If you have mint, add mint. It's really good in here. But I had, I believe it was parsley, and I had some cilantro, and just cut that up really small. There goes some lemon or lime juice, whichever you have. It will taste fine, I promise. And here we go with some olive oil. Gotta get that good olive oil in. Some salt and some pepper, of course. And then, of course, my Green Goddess seasoning. I think in the Greek Goddess seasoning, a lot of the flavors that are already kind of in here, like the parsley and cilantro, are actually in it, so it just helps. Moving on to the chickpeas. So I have a can of garbanzo or chickpeas, whichever you may call it, and I'm just going to open those up and make sure I give them a really good wash or rinse. These chickpeas are very simple, very easy. We are just going to add some olive oil. You might have guessed it. And then we're going to add some salt. Don't put too much salt here, and you'll see why. And then some pepper. Now, if you watched my last video, this is the best barbecue sauce. This is sriracha barbecue sauce from Trader Joe's. Sponsor me, Trader Joe's. But I love it, and somehow find a way to incorporate the barbecue sauce almost every single week into some type of food. So you're going to add them to your chickpeas, give it a good toss, and then put those chickpeas on a lined baking sheet. I have parchment paper. You cannot use parchment paper, whatever you feel. I like easy cleanup. And we're gonna pop those puppies in the oven. Pretty much halfway done at this point. Now we're gonna move on to cooking those things that we prepped earlier in the day. I'm using a cast iron skillet, but use whatever you have. And I am actually using grapeseed oil to coat the pan because olive oil will burn this tofu. So we're gonna cook it on each side for about 3 to 4 minutes, and obviously flip it when the other side is done. Next thing is the salmon that has been marinating for a while, and this time we are adding olive oil to the pan. So I like my salmon to kind of have a little bit of a burntness to it, which is also great if you have a cast iron. It does that for you essentially. But I will say here, especially since we are meal prepping, be sure not to overcook your salmon, because if you overcook it, then when you go to microwave it or heat it up later, it's going to be even more cooked. So I would suggest cooking it a little bit under, so that way when you go to reheat it, it's all good. It's essentially going to be perfect. You see how it's a little bit brown here? That's exactly what I like. Always breaks my heart when I try and flip it perfectly and then one side just falls apart. And at this point, your chickpeas should be done. The chickpeas only need to go into the oven for about 15 minutes. And for your vegetables, you can take them out after about like 30 minutes, I would say. So here is my first time actually using the pressure cooker slash rice cooker for my air fryer. It's like an all-in-one thing. I've never done it before, but the rice actually took like 3 minutes to make. So I'm putting in 2 cups of washed rice and 2 cups of water. And then I did add a little bit of salt in there just because I wanted it to be a little salted. And then I went ahead and put the lid on and just let it do its thing. I probably cooked the salmon for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. As you can see here, the other side is a nice and brown. And then I'm going to just put those pieces of salmon inside of a glass container. At this point, everything should pretty much be cooked and turned off. Your oven should be turned off. Your sheet pan of vegetables should be done. Chickpeas should be done. Only thing we're waiting for is the rice in the pressure cooker. I'm pretty sure right after this I did some dishes because I don't like having a bunch of dishes to clean up when I'm done at the end. And here I am making just a quick breakfast. I am making some overnight oats, and I remember trying to be aesthetically pleasing for the video and putting them in these mason jars, and I quickly realized that there was no way milk was going to fit additionally in those jars. So I just used a glass cup, and we'll put some saran wrap on top. So here I am adding, I believe it's 3/4 a cup of oats and then 1/4 a cup of chia seeds and then a cup of milk on top of all of that. And I use oat milk here, but you can obviously use any milk that you would like, preferably a plant milk in my case. There's so many different recipes out there for overnight oats, so I would also suggest just looking on Pinterest or doing a good old Google search. And you want to make sure you really give these a good stir. If you don't stir them that well, it doesn't get that nice consistency that you may like. I don't think it showed on here, but I did add a lavender sweetener that I made with fresh lavender, sugar, and water, but feel free to add any type of sweetener you may like, whether that is honey, maple syrup, date syrup, stevia, so forth. Options are endless, and then just pop it in the fridge.
So this is the final product. I have some chickpeas, some roasted vegetables, salmon, just a salad mix, white rice. This, we'll talk about this, some like tabbouleh, some tofu, overnight oats, some berries, and some bananas. It's been about, I'd say like 2 hours for me to cook everything. It technically is a little bit later than that because I don't know about y'all, but I'm the type of person who kind of likes to clean a little bit as they go, just so that way at the end the sink isn't full of a bunch of dishes and all of that jazz. But as you can see, I have everything laid out in front of me. I'm kind of gonna walk through just a little bit about how I kind of would make meals. Something that I've learned over the years is I don't know who else out there is a Gemini, but I am a Gemini, and I honestly get sick and tired of having the same things over and over again. I can go a decent period of time, but having meals that already have like rice, beans, salmon, and having that for lunch every single day for 5-7 days a week, it just gets really tiring for me. And then that gets to a point where I end up wanting to buy food. So what I've learned is to kind of cook everything separately, and then you can mix and match items. Or say for example, you have salmon and you want to do a pasta instead, or shrimp and you want to do a pasta with it. You could just boil the pasta, use the sauce, and then already the shrimp and all that is cooked. So with that being said, everything I have here can kind of go with each other, and I just wanted to walk through that first. I didn't do too many breakfast options because I don't really prepare breakfast in advance, and sometimes I don't always even have breakfast. So I gave some examples of some things that I could have, not to say this is what I would eat, but some easy go-to in case it's a late morning. So I do have some overnight oats here, and what I would do is I would have these, I would add some berries. So I have some blueberries, some raspberries, or I'd also put some bananas and just slice it on top, because this is all set to go. It's just going to be in the fridge, and then you just have to add your toppings. You can add granola if you want, but super easy to make. You could do it the night before and then you're all set. So I felt like this was a good easy option. But as well for breakfast, sometimes I'll have like avocado toast, maybe just a banana, or honestly nothing at all, because I'm normally kind of busy in the mornings, or I'm rushing. To be 100% honest, I'm rushing in the mornings. So everything I cook too, I didn't mention this, but probably would be about 3 lunches, 3 dinners, give or take. And we'll get a little bit into that now. So I do have some lettuce here that's already washed, already ready to go. I like having that already prepared because then it gives me an option to do salad or to have some greens on the side. So for example, I would take some of this salad, and then I could add some of this knockoff tabbouleh. I was really in the mood for some tabbouleh. Didn't have everything you need for traditional, but I went ahead and made some, which you all will see. So you could do this, some of that, and then add some salmon in there if you want. Or I could do some of this, some of that, add some chickpeas in there because they're a good source of protein. And then I could also do some rice, some vegetables, and then I can have some salmon on the side. Or I can make a salad that has some of this, some salad, and then some tofu in there. So that's some options there. Again, these are mix and match for lunch and for dinner, so there are options there. Additionally, what I could do is have some rice. This is about 2 cups of rice. It's not just for me, I made some for Terrain as well, but I could have some rice, some salmon, and then some veggies. Or I could have some rice, some tofu, and then I could have some tabbouleh. Or I could do kind of like a Buddha bowl where I have just some rice, some veggies, and then some chickpeas. So there are quite a few different options. You can mix and match as you go, but I just wanted to give a few examples as for how I kind of mix and match. Sorry if my eye contact isn't all that great because I'm looking down at the food. But those are just some options. Again, you can have them either for lunch or for dinner, but that's kind of about it. I hope you all enjoy this video. I know my life is a lot easier going into this week because I already have food prepared, which also means Terrain's gonna be happy because I won't spend any money. And of course, I'll be happy because I'm not spending any money and I have some healthier options here. Feel free to mix and match whatever you like and try out some of these things. If you do, please let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.